Good evening. Welcome to WJZ.com with some very heavy downpours. We've had some flooding reported in some spots. We still have severe thunderstorms mornings, in fact, for a little while longer for portions of Howard County. That cell, however, is beginning to collapse. So as we get into the evening hours, as we lose the heat from the sun, these storms begin to collapse, particularly here in September, this time of the year. South of the city, not much going on. Some storms earlier, but all the heavy rain now from D.C. to Baltimore and out to the west. A lot more activity with lightning and thunder. The smaller little lightning indicates that the storms are beginning to weaken. The big strikes means there's a lot of lightning, so we're starting to lose that effect. You can see it. But there's still heavy rain, and we have flood watches in effect till late tonight across the entire region. So there still could be some flooding in some areas, unfortunately. Temperatures back in the 70s, still some low 80s in some spots. But this weekend, we'll be lucky to get out of the low 70s, even upper 60s, believe it or not. A lot of rain activity because we have a front boundary kind of draped through the region. Warm, humid air south of it is overriding somewhat cooler and drier conditions, and a lot of rain developing right along the front, and it's moving pretty much from west to east. So we get what we call training, one cell after another, and that's why you can see flooding across portions of the region. And there's the front. It's south of Richmond. It continues to press a little further to the south, which means we're going to get much cooler air coming in from the Atlantic Ocean. We will definitely be chilly for Saturday and Sunday, but there will also be the risk of rain activity. Maybe not all the time, but it looks like as we head into Sunday morning, some shower activity. By Sunday afternoon during the game, maybe some breaks from time to time, but still chilly and damp. And then into next week, this warm front begins to pass the region, putting us in kind of warm, humid conditions. Not like we saw this past week, but it'll be back in the 80s again and kind of sticky, and a risk of some scattered activity. Meanwhile, Florence, winds of 65. The update doesn't come until 11 o'clock tonight, maybe 8 o'clock. We'll have an update. Expected to grow Sunday to a Cat 1, Monday to a Cat 2, Tuesday to a Cat 3, maybe a Category 4 storm on Wednesday, and all the models at this point are taking it out to the west-northwest. It has to make a turn at some point to miss the East Coast. If it continues this way, it will definitely impact the Carolinas, more than likely sometime Thursday or Friday of next week. If it makes the turn, it still will do some, at least some very rough surf in those coastal areas. But at this point, this is so far out, the models are flip-flopping all over the place. So don't say, yeah, it's definitely going to happen, because sometimes they change completely. The storm can weaken as it did yesterday. That was not expected. In fact, the winds right now are only at 65. But the models, and we'll update the spaghetti models for you later tonight. This is kind of a consensus of some of the models. Some have it going off in the Atlantic, completely missing it, and then see a bunch of them here do have it headed pretty much for the Carolinas. So we'll have to keep this in mind. We'll be tracking this, obviously, all weekend into next week. And there are two other systems off the coast of Africa, believe it or not, could become two more tropical systems by the weekend. Could be even named Helen and Isaac. We'll talk about that later. It's so far out, we don't even need to concern ourselves with it at this point. Meanwhile, on the bay, water temperature 84. Showers and a small craft advisory for northeast winds, gust to 20 knots. Showers and thunder tonight, east winds 5 to 10 tomorrow. Showers likely, but cooler. Only 72 with a northeast breeze. Maybe some higher gusts. Sunday about the same, but even cooler. 68 down to 64. Some afternoon rain likely. Could be some morning showers as well. So prepare for damp, cool Sunday and breezy. Warmer Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back up in the 80s again. Scattered showers, certainly a possibility, and maybe some steady rain here by the time we get to the end of the week. Next weekend, a lot of that will depend on what happens to Florence. Hopefully, it will stay out to sea. We're not going to know about that probably until early next week at best. Hold up an updated forecast for you later on tonight.